Hello, everybody. Welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator. So, hi guys. Good to see you. Long time no see. I've taken a really long break. I don't think I've ever spent quite as much time not doing videos at all. Okay, so I know I'm good. Nothing really happened. I know some of you were worried. It was just that I was exhausted, honestly. And I felt energetically depleted. I still feel like, it's heavy in the air. I chatted with Karina today, texted. She also feels the same about, everything. And but here I am, okay, and I had some interesting discoveries, but I was just really like resting. And I even got kind of sick today. It was kind of interesting. Not interesting, but I'm good. That it's just interesting. Like I said, I've been eating well and exercise, so uh, just part of it, right? Like kind of a fatty balance in the chaos. And I wanted to talk about many, many things today. So let's get started. So today there will be topics, of course, that are about what's on the news, but I wanted to share first with you these techniques about that I got downloaded. This was, I think, on Friday. I downloaded this information about clearing and everything. So I may put this at the beginning or after the news. I'll figure it out. Okay, but let me just get started with the recording. So basically, I have this vision about picturing how your body, my body, right, in my case, enveloped by a pyramid shape, like as if you're laying down on the floor, and the base, like, and the space your body occupies is like rectangle. That's the base of the pyramid, and it goes up. And you sending light to that pyramid where you are encapsulated so that this pyramid is energized and you're completely cleared of any and all energy. And when I was doing this on Friday, I kept visualizing all the heaviness of this news, right? That we're carrying, fear, and all the negativity and the harm that these events and the news, these events are real, right? Not obviously not dismissing it, but we feel that in our bodies. It affects us. It hijacks our nervous system, especially if you're an empath of some kind. And I did that until I felt completely cleared, right? Sending energy through this pyramid. And then once we're cleared, we can then send out our own visions of the world. Okay, because I think this is a very, very intense time of great attack on us as people. And also, I think it all starts with this information warfare environment where we are forced to have to look and to acknowledge their lies and their uh, manipulation. And so there are ways to engage with it and then to also diminish the importance that we give to this psychically so that we're not, doesn't make sense, we're not permanently hijacked, like our lives not hijacked by them. Okay. So let's get started. I made some graphics here. I'm gonna go show you. So the idea is at first to visualize yourself here inside the light pyramid shape. And I created here this little graphic with a little bear. That was just in a way easier. But see yourself resting, laying. I usually that's how I picture myself, or it could be sitting, but in a very relaxed position. And this pyramid and surrounds you, and then you just start, instead of sending energy to yourself directly, you send energy to this transparent pyramid of light that's encapsulating you until you feel. And I asked also that all the bad, I wouldn't say it's not memories, but it's like associations related to the news, right? For example, the so-called alligator Alcatraz and all that, all this like heaviness that is, we sometimes it stays in our bodies, to have it cleared completely so that we can then do the work of receiving the light. Okay, so this time it is important to do that because, again, we're dealing with very heavy things. Okay, so again, first visualize the pyramid and then clear everything using the highest light. Project this highest light onto the pyramid that surrounds you. And through that, you'll be cleared. Okay, clear any and all fears, anything that does not vibrate with the highest light. That we are able to witness events and news items, but not absorb them. And that we are conscious that although we may observe these events, that is not who we are, and we refuse to be taken over by the dark vibrations of these news items and events. Okay, so, but again, take your time to really send the highest energy. It could also be about healing, right? It could be about some physical ailment or wanting more physical energy. But first, you have to clear anything that may be out of tune with the highest level of energy. Okay. And once you feel cleared, welcome the thought that aligns with how your heart and soul see this moment. Okay. So that again, we are not in their energy field, but we're surrounded by the highest light as we observe reality from a different perspective and allow these other outcomes to strengthen. Okay. And here I wanted to share with you this book I've been reading. I don't recommend everything that's in this book, but it's a really thick, long book. I'm listening to the audio version, and it has this really interesting concept they call the pendulum. And the pendulum is this idea that there's these external energy groups or events, or let's say societal norms that pull us away from our paths. And when we and the one way to determine what they call these pendulums are things, for example, that are prestigious or important, because this book describes how, in order for us to live happier lives and attain what we want to attain, we actually have to paradoxically not see what we want as important. Because the moment we give extreme power to something, it loses, it diminishes our own power. Doesn't make sense. But I feel like this is really applicable to what we're living, where we have these people doing so much evil and using the media and social media to spread fear, to frighten us, and to really show, and also the media works with them, right? To show the harshest, the hardest, and that affects our nervous system. So in a way, I think we have to be able to identify, like, I think they want to like hijack our attention at all times because this is a very vampiric uh, energy, right? That we're constantly being robbed of our peace of mind for this. So we can't allow that. You have to find peace within yourself, and you have to accept that you have your own power, because that's part of the reason why they constantly um, take over. Does it make sense? Like, of course, there's a lot happening, but I think each of us individually must come into this internal space of quiet, of light, so that we this is our power. And I feel like a lot of times it's like, oh my God, there's a whole fear, the hysteria. Yes, it is horrible. Yes, these things are happening, but you have to find the quiet within, even as this is happening. Otherwise, your energy is completely dissipated and robbed. Okay. So that was a message. Okay, for the day about this. Again, the idea of bringing the dark news, propaganda, etc., into the light pyramid so it's demagnetized. Ask spirit to show you the light driven outcome instead. Okay, so I know a lot of you will say, oh, Rosie, this is, I expect you to tell me what's going to happen, or something like that. But I think we all have to, at this particular serious moment of our history, we have to make the effort to kind of cleanse the news in some ways, to see that it's not forever, that is not all encompassing, that we have to weaken the power that it has in our minds. Does it make sense? So that's why we have to do this, because otherwise, again, this is just a way to preserve your own energy so that you're not completely taken over by this darkness. Okay? All right. So, having said that, now let's go to today's news. So, we have the tragedy in Texas, right? And here are the headlines: live updates. At least 79 dead as search efforts intensify after Texas floods. So, it is a very, very sad situation, but um, unfortunately, uh, it's a thing. We know that to be true, that the Trump administration has cut a lot of workers from the National Weather Service. This is something they have made explicit before it even happened. That was their goal. For some random reason, it's hard to understand why, but here we are. Okay, because obviously this was bound to happen. Okay, let's see here. White House says, okay, and then of course we have here crucial positions at the local offices of the National Weather Service were unfilled as severe rainfall inundated parts of central Texas, prompting experts to question whether staffing shortages made it harder for the agency to coordinate with local emergency managers as floodwaters rose. And I also want to, I thought I had done, okay, that's right. Want to alert you guys to something that's circulating. Okay, and somebody sent me this message. I don't know. Now these days you never know if someone, that maybe it's a legit person or maybe not. You just right. You have to look at this. So I see this message saying, yesterday I spent the day watching the Texas floods and praying for survivors to have courage to hang on and be found in time. It wasn't, and why? And I don't know. Again, if you follow my channel, it's obvious that no, the whole point is that Trump is cutting all of these systems, and they have cut in the current budget, and Elon Musk himself cut, I think, 600 positions, something like that. So over 2 trillion gallons of water fell in a short period of time, causing a wall of water, blah, blah, blah. So there is a conspiracy theory going on called, that uses the term cloud seeding. And when you go look at it, the person who's behind it is Michael Flynn. Let's see, is that it? Okay, here it is. So, okay, so this is, you see here, the storm cloud seeding. So do not trust this. What it is that, sorry, I'll go back here. This whole concept of the cloud seeding is a conspiracy theory meant to distract people from climate change, because this is a consequence of climate change. And we know that a lot of people, from the Kochs to others, Republicans that is, they hate climate change because it affects their industries, honestly. So they just don't want people to believe in science. So they create these conspiracy theories that it's some company that seeded the clouds and made, but think about it, and I really urge people, whether, again, I don't know if a person is saying it uh, with the intent to have me spread conspiracy theories, or if they actually genuinely believe it. The point is that you have to do research. When you see things that are not familiar with, look up who is saying this, where it comes from, because clearly it's coming from accounts connected to the Russian government and other propaganda sources, right? So, and what I urge people to think, to use their brain and think about it. If it were so easy to see the clouds, why, if this technology were legit, there would be no fires in California. People would just be seeding clouds. It's like, it's a magical thinking, right? So really, it's not, the reason for this happened is climate change and the fact that the federal government has shut down a lot of these weather service offices. Okay, so that's the reason, essentially. Okay, all right, so let's go back here. And then we see here the White House says blaming insufficient and National Weather Service staffing for flood response is false and disgusting. Really? Critics have blamed certain here it is. The White House is pushing back against criticism that the National Weather Service was not properly staffed for the amount of rain before the flooding. Critics have blamed recent cuts by the Trump administration for affecting officials' ability to properly warn residents in Texas about incoming flood conditions and the subsequent response to the flooding. Abigail Jackson, a White House spokesperson, told NBC News the accusation were disgusting lies to target political opponents. No, right? It is what it is. It's the truth. So, so okay, let's see. That's right. Let's see here. I'm going to make sure that's right. So again, if Michael Flynn is pushing this, it can't possibly be real. Okay, and again, just because there's some guy with some company related to spiritual, I don't really care. The point is the conspiracy theory to deflect. Okay. All right. So let's go back here and then see what is happening, what's happened, what happens there, and what's happening next. And of course, is there going to be some sort of like legitimate change, right? So what is happening here? I do see this. This would have been picked up by satellites, but does make sense. It was done on purpose so people wouldn't be alerted, and it was very local, right? It's like it's saying that there's that area there was a specific thing, and nowadays with climate change, things happen very quickly, and it can't happen like that. And it's interesting because I grew up in a tropical country and tropical weather, like you can have like crazy amounts of rain so quickly. And I think this is what climate changes. You have these like different patterns of weather happening. And that's what it's showing. So, wow. And I see Trump putting money in his pocket and all those people having a narrative to explain this. But it's not. No, I see that there's a lot of anger. And it was a very red county. And these people died in people died in horrible ways. And they want more. And the whole state, I think the whole country wants more of an acknowledgement and explanation. And I see that they will try to find a person to blame, but it's not enough. It's not enough. So, and I see that it's interesting. I see that Trump, they want him to go to some funeral, but he hates events like that. And it's just so inappropriate. Okay, so then what happens? I see, it's interesting. I see AOC saying something in Congress. It's obvious. It's a consequence of all of these cuts and this ridiculous bill. But that's in a way, like I said, this is the truth about who they are, and it's coming out, and this is right. We're seeing this, and it's saying in a way, this is like you wouldn't see this outrage if it had been about Latinos or the ICE raids, right? You're seeing this because it's affecting the core demographic that Republicans create propaganda for. And that's why, right, they have to kind of somehow make it like adapt. And it's not work. They are not liking how people like, oh, they keep demanding things and they can't. And I see that is it Cornyn from Texas really asking for a lot more federal assistance because there isn't enough help. And again, this is a situation that they themselves have created. And see, but try to blame Biden. Just say it's Biden, but it wasn't Biden. They know it's not Biden. It was them. They cut the funds and they did this. Okay, so okay, so then I see interesting. Then it shows me the other side, the angels and all these people who have passed, and how they're raising the vibrations for us here so that we can fight back, and also the weaker people that believe in this propaganda starts waking up. Okay, so that's and what will be the consequence of this to the Trump administration or Trump himself? I see again he starts having these tantrums more and more, and he can't hide, right? It becomes harder and harder to hide until the whole thing collapses. Okay. All right. So that's the answer here. And again, it was a disaster. And could it, yeah, it could have been, yes, if they had paid, especially at a time, again, with climate change, you have to pay intense attention to this. And this reminds me of there were floods in Germany, I feel like a few years ago. And it was the same thing, like in the middle of the night, and people were not, there wasn't enough time to just heard the rain and boom. And it was right by a river, and the river flooded. And then, like, all these people died, and these homes were wrecked. And that's the reality of the climate situation that we're dealing with. And these people are deniers. And it's saying this will contribute to political change in this country as well, because those people are going to uh, make an effort to see change as well. People are waking up, in other words. Okay. All right. So let's continue. So the next subject is Elon Musk's new party that he started with a Russian guy here, Artem. Cle Artem, let's just call him Artem. So I talked about it on the other day about how he was very connected to this guy. And and so here we have already Vivek Ramaswamy, then Andrew Yang, the guy who was extremely shady, of course, another plant type, is said to have joined this party. Then we have here now the New York Post. Besant is already saying that Elon isn't popular enough to pull it off. And I understand that a lot of people say, but usually third party candidates damage Democrats. But I do genuinely think that they want to have this to take down the current iteration of Trump. They want to create division. And Elon, of course, wants power. And we have Russians backing him. Okay, here it is. Now, here, today's proof of coordination. Elon finally slipped and engaged Artem publicly. This confirms the veracity of multiple threads I've written. Elon's new party is a Russian psyop, and I have every receipt. Not one journalist is brave enough to cover this worldwide. Okay, so okay, here it is. Elon's call for the inaugural American Party Congress is a bold move to empower citizens directly. I suggest Austin, Texas, in late August. It's so hot. So that's interesting, an interesting angle here. And then we have some reactions here. But let's just start by asking, what is this going, since he mentioned August, is this party going to take, how far is this party going to go? Is it going to have, strength or whatever? What's going to happen here? He's saying that he's really hurt. He's really upset that he feels that Trump has made a mockery out of him. Because we know, guys, we know that Elon Musk had so many subsidies from the government, and Trump cut apparently all of them. Like and this is, to be fair, I think it's crazy that we were giving this guy so much money. There was something, you may not know this, but Tesla, the car company, makes, I think it was like, was it 60? It was like a really crazy amount of their revenue comes from selling carbon credits. So the government would give credits to car companies that achieved a certain level of lessening carbon emissions, and then the Tesla would sell to other companies, because so in order to lessen them. So there was a huge market they were profiting from. I don't know if it was like 40% of the revenue. It's a really huge amount, but they were making billions of dollars from the subsidies that they would receive from the federal government and then sell. Like, should not happen in the first place. So obviously I don't agree with Trump. I don't like Trump, but it makes sense, honestly. And I know, of course, he's doing so many other grifts. It's not as if this changes that he, any of his corruption. But it's true that there was so subsidies on so many levels. The tariffs are going to hurt him. There's a lot of the things that are on this bill that have hurt him. And this is why he's doing all this. It's not that he cares about this country, right? So again, he is doing all of this because his businesses are going to suffer a lot if the whole thing goes through. So he's trying to stop the whole thing as soon as possible because he knows again. But I'm still kind of like amazed that he didn't he I mean, Trump said he was going to do that when he was running for office. So what was he thinking? He's saying that he thought that he had a deal with Trump in his mind. I'm going to bankroll you. I'm going to give you the election, and then you're going to help me out. But it's saying Trump is not, of course, Trump is not doing that. He's taking as much as he can. He's ignoring the part of the election, and he's harming him, right? But again, Trump does this to everyone. But this guy thought it was not going to happen to him because he has more money. So that's right. And I see Trump saying, like, if he complains, I'm gonna take his money. Like I said, like I told you guys. So so by the time, let's say, August comes around, which is not that far, let's say 6 weeks, let's say today's July 6th, let's say 6 weeks or so, is there going to be I see that there's like preparations, but it may not happen. And how, no, I see that again, MAGA is really going after him, and he is aligning. So there's a split truly, and we can see that there is a lot of resistance here. So let's see. Let me go back and see. Let's share the screen again because okay, so a few things that Elon Musk has said here. So this is before I think there was the announcement of the party, the official announcement that is. So MAGA is losing their shit over this. And it's from Elon Musk. One way to execute on this would be to laser focus on just 2 or 3 Senate seats and 8 to 10 House districts. Given the razor thin legislative margins, that would be enough to serve as the deciding vote on contentious laws, ensuring that they serve the true will of the people. I'm sure Elon is about the will of the people. Ha ha ha. So, okay, so this is what he said. Now here's Trump saying, I'm saddened to watch Elon Musk go completely off the rails, essentially becoming a train wreck over the past 5 weeks. Okay, so, and Trump says here that it was because it's true, right? Because he eliminated the subsidies for Elon. Okay, so what is going to happen? What is going to happen here? So Trump is upset because why is Trump upset? Oh, he sees the threat. Oh, seeing the threat that Elon poses, and he knows also that he's aware he was able to change the votes, and he could do the same thing in this case for him, right? So, what is Trump going to do about Elon Musk now? He gets angrier and angrier. And doesn't. And I see that Elon Musk keeps pushing, and Trump keeps doing more and more things to harm him. I see him even doing some sort of executive order against him. So I have a question. Now, this is the key question, right? I think that I've talked about a lot before, and Corina also. We have seen that Elon Musk will eventually read out what happened in the election because he's going to want to save himself. Now, this is before he announced his third party plan of his. So, does the third party plan change any of his goals? Does it change anything? Does the third party plan change anything for Elon Musk? No, I see that it shows me the Russian guy pushing him like to the fire, and he's like, wait. Like they're using him to try to create more and more division. And I see that he looks at a bonfire and he realizes they're trying to throw him to the bonfire. And he's saying no. And that's when I think he realizes the only way out. I think things are going to get worse for him as far as Trump's pressure. And the Russians are not helping him all that much. Right there, he sees that he's being used. And so he has a strong sense of survival. And he may turn around and say it for to say, because I see by the time again, he sees this, he sees that his life is in danger and that he's being used. And that is essentially the last resort situation. Okay. All right. So let's go to the other topics here. All right. So we talked about this. That's right. All right. So I wanted to show you guys now Julia Davis news. Julia Davis is this woman who is she's Russian. Obviously, that's not her real name. But she said it on TV in Russia. They were saying military expert Igor Korotchenko thanked Donald Trump for lifting sanctions and urged him to protect Elbridge Colby. Foreign experts Alexander Bobrov surmised that Trump is losing to Russia with a devastating score. So again, they name names. They're right. They're saying that's right. And they do this to their assets. They know the guy did it for them. And it's like they're bragging about owning all these Americans and including Hegseth, right? It's true. So this is where we are, because of course that is also an important issue. The point at which when is Elon, I'm sorry, when is Trump going to ask the military to help Russia right here? And then we see again, this is very much J.D. Vance is almost like his favorite thing. J.D. Vance criticized American leaders who pick a side in the war in Ukraine. Unfortunately, you've got a lot of American leaders who like to beat their chest and say this Ukraine is the good guy and this Russia is the bad guy. Really, one is being invaded, the other is not. Right? It's kind of interesting. So you see the guy being completely. It's so sick, right? It's sick to see. So, all right, so. So what's happening here? What's going on with JD Vance and this whole? So he's like, no, I see this. No, don't worry, I'm doing a good job. I'm gonna turn the government to. I'm gonna turn everything towards you. And I see they have Hegseth and this Kobe guy. And then I see like, oh, I see he's going to the Pentagon, and then there's an iron gate, and he's not allowed in. And it suggests that things are in place again. At some point, something is going to happen. But if anything, guys, it's still this idea that we have to see this, and this entire thing is coming out. So there's no doubt. There's no real like. There's no like, oh, it's Biden or something. Like there's just no doubt to everyone, to the entire world, what we're dealing with, and the whole thing collapses. Okay. And I wanted to mention something else that I had said, I think, in one of my last videos about the moon when they approved that bill. So just to correct, it's something called the void moon. And apparently when things are done during the void moon, it doesn't work out, it collapses. So that's what it is. But we keep going, right? And again, people are, F around to find out, right? It's coming, and I see Trump trying to leave at some point because it's all a consequence of his actions, right? And now he's saying, oh, the terrorists this, the terrorists that. But I see that the more that there's a sense of urgency from but it's not his backers, his handlers, saying, we have to do this, get it done now, get it done fast, because they want to collapse the US and the US economy so they can take over, basically. And it's not done fast enough. When I see Russia especially being very desperate, and it's not happening fast enough. And as he feels this pressure, he goes crazier and crazier. But still, I don't see it lasting for that long. Okay, but this is the moment that we're living through. Okay, all right. So this is it for today, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be back on regular schedule. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye. Bye.